Chapter 18. Start with what is right rather than what is acceptable. Franz Kafka, German author. I arrived at the building first, and despite how anxious I was to get down into the shelter and begin digging, I forced myself to wait in the basement to be sure Fritz got in safely. He approached the building the same way I had, using the shadow of the wall to hide him. I waved him in through the window, and after he slid inside, we shut the boards up again. Fritz was bigger than me, so he had separated the boards even wider, and the nails were bent. If someone really looked at this window, they might notice that the boards didn't shut tight anymore. That made me nervous, but there wasn't much we could do about it. He started to talk, but I'd already opened the heavy metal door into the air raid shelter and quietly motioned for him to follow me. The shovel was down there too, ready to begin. Without saying a word, Fritz stood in the shelter, inspecting it just as I had a day earlier. He opened the crates, patted at the walls, and dug into the dirt to test it. His eyes ran along the ceiling, no doubt questioning where the line for the Berlin Wall should be. If we weren't beneath it already, then it couldn't be more than a meter away.
"How did you find this place?"
he asked. In a whispered voice, I told him everything. About seeing Dominic and Papa, the dance Papa did on the platform, and getting the picture from Anna. I fully expected his excitement to grow at the prospect of tunneling to freedom, to see his eyes widen the way mine had when I first realized the possibilities down here. If he planned to swim the Spree anyway, this was a much safer plan, and this offered the chance for all of us to get to the West. But instead of showing any enthusiasm, it was just the opposite. With every new revelation, his shoulders slumped further and the light dimmed in his face.
"You were young when Father left, so you didn't know him as well."
The tone in Fritz's voice was sympathetic, as if my innocence deserved his pity.
"You must have misunderstood his message, if there even was a message. Father never would have asked us to put ourselves in this much danger. Never."
"But he did, Fritz. I saw him and you didn't."
"You saw him doing a children's dance and read meaning into it."
"Then why did he send that picture?"
"How do you know it's from him?"
In frustration, Fritz turned from me and ran a hand through his hair.
"How do you know it's not some test from the Stasi to get us here and then have a legitimate reason to arrest us?"
"They don't play games like that."
"They do, Goethe. They do that all the time. If they believe our family has some sort of rebellious streak, do you really think they'll sit back and wait for us to commit a crime when they could just trap us now? Or maybe Anna's family drew this picture to lure us here so they can turn us into the Stasi and get forgiven for what Peter did."
"Anna's family wouldn't..."
"Yes, they would. And if you want to stay naive about how dangerous this tunneling idea is, then you have no business even thinking about it. Our friends could betray us. Family members could betray us. Some stranger on the street could report us, and we'd never know who it was. There is nobody we can trust."
But he had said us. Fritz and me, together. Fritz would never betray me. And even if the Stasi locked me up for a century and did their worst, I would never betray him. I picked up the shovel and pushed it into the dirt wall. "Look at the way it crumbles, Fritz. This is soft dirt." He put his hand to it and more dirt fell.
"Where's the boundary for the death strip?"
I pointed to his feet. "You're standing on it now." He stood back and watched me, which was something. At least he wasn't leaving and dragging me away with him.
"We could never do something this big,"
Fritz said.
"I don't know a thing about tunneling."
"We can figure it out as we go," I said. "All we have to do is keep moving forward and make sure the ground above us doesn't cave in. A couple of weeks of digging, and then we're out on the other side."
"They sweep the death strip with sound sensors," he said. "But thanks to this shelter, we're already pretty deep. If only we knew how wide the death strip is here."
Now his mind was working.
"And we would have to make sure this tunnel came out into a safe place on the other side. inside another building or something. How can we find that exit when we can't see over there?
We can figure that out too, I said. And Anna's apartment isn't far away. I can see the death strip from her bedroom and figure out how wide it is from there.
How will you get inside? She isn't speaking to you.
I shrugged. First, I had to get him to agree to this plan. Details like getting into an ex-friend's home could be worked out afterward. Fritz took the shovel and dug at the dirt, trying it for himself. Within a few minutes, he already had a gap wide enough that he could stand inside it. Then he turned around.
What would we do with all the dirt? There's going to be a lot of it.
We can leave it in the room right above us. Nobody looks in there, so it won't be noticed.
Yes, but we would be. It'll take a long time to dig this. Someone will see us coming and going from here and start to wonder why. And we'll be dirty with no way to wash off until we get home.
I'd already thought about that too. On my way to bringing the shovel here, Frau Eberhard asked where I was going. I told her the shovel was for a garden. What if we did plant one, right outside the building? It's only dirt out there and nobody appears to be using it. We could garden in the day while people are watching and then tunnel when they aren't. He dug at the tunnel again, his way of thinking it over.
I don't know, Gerda.
I grabbed his arm. This is better than trying to swim the Spree. You'll die if you go that way, and whether you make it to the other side or not, what will the Stasi do to Mama and me afterward? We know they've terrified Anna's family. Do you want them to come after us that way?
No,
he mumbled.
No, of course not.
If you are going to escape, then we need a way for all of us to escape. We're a family, Fritz. Half of us are already on the other side. If we're going to cross, to be together, it has to be all of us. Fritz stared at me a moment, then crouched down to stare at the dirt wall in front of him.
You're right,
he finally said. My heart leapt. Then we're building a tunnel?
No.
Fritz drew himself back to his full height.
No, you're right about the danger. Mama will be home on Sunday, and she'll never agree to this plan. I don't know what message Papa intended to send you, but he wouldn't want us to dig either. If anyone could make such a crazy idea work, it's you. But it's not worth the risk to our family.
This was a good plan, and it was slipping through my fingers like water. Listen to me, please. If we just...
It's over, Gerda.
Then he rubbed my head with his hand, something I didn't appreciate at all this time. We climbed back up the ladder into the basement and pulled the boards closed as best we could, never to return there again.